Hello folks, how we doing? We've got another episode of Conroy Talks today. Apologies before I introduce the guest. My throat is a bit painful and a bit sore, so it might be a bit crooked today. But today I'm delighted to be joined by Gav. It's his second appearance on the show, Gav. So thanks for coming again, Gav. I know you're a busy man, so I really appreciate it. How's things been today, mate? Has it been a hectic one?
Oh, mad. We've taken a night off from the channel tonight to plan stuff for the rest of the week, and it just planning all day long. So hopefully the rest of the week goes smooth enough now.
No, I hope so too, mate. I'm sure it will, though. It usually goes seamlessly. As Gav won't tell you, but he actually gave me a graphic today for the video within about 5 minutes, and it would have taken me, pretty sure, about 3 hours. So thanks for that, Gav. Superb.
No problem.
And I'm delighted to be announced. It's Finn. Is this your third time on the show, mate?
I don't know.
But he's always helping behind the scenes. He's always helping with agenda topics as well. So Finn, how are you doing today, mate? And how are you feeling about just football in general? What's your thoughts on it at the moment?
Yeah, flying high off the back of a 4-0 win against Andorra. Obviously, we had to bring out the big guns in the second half, which I was quite shocked by. But yeah, feeling good and appreciate you having me back on, mate. It's a pleasure to be here as usual. So yeah, looking forward to cutting through the agenda today, definitely.
No, glad to hear that, guys. It's as you say, we've got the agenda today, folks. The show is the next world beater, and we'll touch on a bit about Ronaldo's effect on United, because not really. I think that's a big enough topic in itself, especially from three Liverpool fans. So that's going to be interesting. But I know we both kind of want to go quite strict with time tonight, because I know you both want to get away for around about 10. So we'll just crack on. So Gav, I'd like to start with you, mate. The first one I was going to say is next world beater. There's a few kind of falling into this category. You've got Mbappe, you've got Haaland. They're probably the two, at the very top now that people are looking at. You maybe got some other examples, like Sancho's obviously had a very good start to his career, but we'll maybe start with Mbappe and Haaland. And with you, I'll start with your personal favourite. I know you like him. On Haaland, and what's your thoughts on Haaland, Gav? Just free reign, whatever you want to say about him. What do you think? How good can he be as a footballer?
Or how good is he as a footballer?
Yeah,
I suppose.
Exactly. Yeah.
When this question is usually put to me, it's usually put to me as, who would you have in this Liverpool team? And I always pick Haaland over Mbappe. Don't get me wrong, Mbappe is a fantastic footballer. He's quick, strong, knows where the goal is, young. He hasn't won everything with Paris Saint-Germain, but he's won a fair few trophies. And, it looks like now that he's basically telling Paris Saint-Germain, look, I have to get out of France. I have to go to whether it's England or Spain. And, not only for his Champions League hopes, because I think he's a good chance most years at PSG now, but I think just the level of competition in either England or Spain far outweighs the level of competition on a weekly basis, I think, in France. So it looks like, regardless of what PSG try, he wants to go and he wants to try something different. He's a fantastic footballer. My only worry over Mbappe is reliance on pace for me at times. And when I see players like that, I always just think back to Michael Owen, who was a fantastic footballer at 17, 18, 19 years of age, and done a hamstring, I think, it was a hamstring, I think, or a groin at Leeds around, was it 2002-ish, in around that time, and he was never the same for me after that, never the same. So when I look at this Liverpool side, I just think Haaland is made for them. Everything about him, I think he's far more intelligent footballer than people give him credit for. I think he can hold up the ball. I think he can bring people into play. I think you gave me a stat beforehand there, 112 goals in 117 games with 30 odd assists.
Yeah, that was the assist I was surprised with as well.
Yeah, so he's contributing to others as well. He's just a machine in front of goal. He's an absolute machine, and the size of him, he's an aerial threat. He's quick. For the size of him, you'd look at him and go, is he quick? He's quick, and he's just deadly. And I think if I was to pick one player to go into a forward line for Liverpool right now, it'd be Erling Haaland. But I'm not going to knock Kylian Mbappe or anything like that. I think he's a fantastic footballer. And don't get me wrong, in another side, if Liverpool played a different way, if Liverpool were a really counter-attacking side, which they used to be, if you put me in this situation in say 2016, 2017, where Liverpool didn't hold as much of the ball as they used to, but they were deadly on the counter, Kylian Mbappe is probably your pick. But the way Liverpool play now, they dominate most games against whoever they're playing with regards to possession and territory on the pitch. And sometimes you need a little bit more than pace. You need other threats. I'm not saying Kylian Mbappe is not a threat in a deep line when he's playing against deep line defences, he's probably meeting them every week in France. But I think for this Liverpool side, the way they play, I think Erling Haaland is just phenomenal. And whoever gets him, get your money on them winning the European Cup and their domestic league as well. I think he's that good.
No, absolutely, some top shouts there, Gav, to be fair, and I think every one of them backed up. I'm just going to spin to Finn, spin to you, Finn, straight away on that, mate, and ask you quite quickly. Just we'll kind of go back to Gav in a second, but off right now, if I had to say Mbappe or Haaland in a dream world for Liverpool, who would you take, Finn?
Yeah, I'd echo all of Gav's sentiments there, really. I think he's backed it up quite resolutely, and I think there's not too much I could dispute. One thing I will say is that, for me, I feel like he's the more hungry of the two. And that's evident on the pitch. I think the way he carries himself, the way he conducts himself, he's a very serious individual, whereas Kylian Mbappe is a bit more relaxed, he's a bit more friendly, he's a bit more happy-go-lucky from what I can see in interviews, in dressing rooms and whatnot. And I think Haaland is the one that will be kind of coined to be the elite of the two, I think. Yeah, most definitely. I think he's powerful, he's quick, and I feel like he's got so many years ahead to even round off his game even more, if you could say that even. So, yeah.
Oh, definitely. There's still areas to improve. As Gav said, like, he is good at hold up, but there'll be certain areas where, I'm not saying traditionally he's built, but he's a centre forward to link in with play, but his intelligence of the game will improve as well. Maybe to certain areas, maybe not as try as hard in certain areas, maybe focus on different parts of the game. I just feel like he's so young that he actually can afford to have a few years where he maybe doesn't even improve as quick as we think he can, and he's still got plenty of years to reach the level. And I do think that counts for a lot, because it's interesting you say that, Finn, because see, to me, I was going to ask you both this, and Gav, I kind of want to hear your perspective on this. I've heard a few people tell me that obviously Haaland's got Raiola as well, and that maybe Haaland, to me, you say he looks hungrier, but is he maybe as much of a, I know we're talking hypothetically, as much of a team player? And maybe Mbappe's a bad example, because he looks a bit arrogant now as well. But I don't know if Haaland would he suit a Liverpool team in the sense of, do you not think he want to be the main man wherever he goes? And would that maybe hamper our chances of getting him?
It's a good question, but he's gone to Dortmund, and I've never heard anyone criticize his work rate or his attitude or the way he carries himself. Now, Raiola is his agent, isn't he? So that's where the stumbling block is going to come, because if that man's selling you a player for 50 million, he's probably wanting 50% of that on top for himself. That's how he works. And there's been rumor of the father wanting money as well. And Shawnee said this to me a while ago. He said, look, on air show, he said, look, these guys have a career path absolutely mapped out for themselves. Salzburg, onto Dortmund, onto a Real Madrid, and then be an absolute, whether it's Real Madrid or whoever, Liverpool, whoever it might be, and be an absolute world beater there. And that's where their legacy will end. And that's where their biggest legacy will be. And Erling Haaland is, what age is he? 20s? He's early 20s. So, a move now, if he's going to commit himself to, say, for argument's sake, a Real Madrid for 10 years, he's going to get paid very, very handsomely. But the way these agents look at it is, they look at the moves that they're going to make, because that's where they make that big bucks. That's where they make the massive money from. But in terms of Mbappe gets a bit because of the the Euros, and did he do it in the Euros? Misses a penalty, and he's up there as a really young man to be shot down. And if he does the smallest thing wrong, it's going to be blown up into ridiculous proportions. But from any side of it I've watched from either player, I've never seen their hunger or the desire or their work rate or anything like that. And you tell me the last player that's walked into Liverpool and said, I'm the main man, and got away with it, because I can't remember one. And I'm sorry, but if you walk in and you have Alisson Becker, Virgil van Dijk, Jordan Henderson, you have Fabinho, you have Mane, you have Salah, you've whoever it is, and they're not going to take that. It doesn't happen. I think all these things are blown out of proportion. You will get players that'll just turn and go, I want this, this, and this, because they want to go. I haven't seen that from either player, to be honest with you, Conroy.
No, and that's a fair. It's the same. That's been us being sceptical and maybe looking
Hmm.
at his association with Raiola. Because let's be honest, whatever way you want to, paint that one, that's going to be a nightmare to whoever it is. And
Yeah.
listen, I understand it from a player's point of view. There's no guarantees he becomes the player he is right now, Haaland. So he wants an agent who's going to get him the most they can possibly get out of his career. And that's definitely you can say a lot of names about Raiola, but he does get some good deals for his clients. But what I was going to say on that as well, Gav, that you can maybe look at the opposite of that as well. That if Haaland's in a team like a Liverpool or a team similar who are creating lots of chances, he's probably not going to care if he's always the man of the match or the star player. If he's getting that many goals, he'll get the headlines. And that, to me, that's probably what he wants to do. To me, he looks like he just, as Finn said, he's hungry to break records, and he's gave himself such a good start at this age. To be the numbers is actually. I'll just read it out for everyone in case they missed it at the start of the show. Haaland's played 112 games. Sorry, he scored 112 goals in 158 games and 31 assists. The 31 assists is, put that in perspective. So we talk about fullbacks nowadays, getting lots of assists, maybe in the last couple of years in different formations. But you've got people like Dennis Irwin, Gary Neville, well-established fullbacks, no different types of players, but their full career assists is 25, 34. He's already up in the 31. Now, I know he's playing in a very expansive team at Dortmund, and maybe that point's not a great comparison. But what I mean by that is, I've heard, he's maybe not the best, that he could improve his link-up. But for those stats already, to me, that's very impressive. And I've got to agree with Gav. I actually think, I've said this before, I think Liverpool, we've got a habit, right? Sometimes we see something like Mbappe, against that expansive team, and look at the space in behind. Do you think anybody goes to play you like that when you've got a Kylian Mbappe? You don't play Mo Salah, they play a high line. Teams don't do that. Very few teams do that. So you've got to look at the teams you're playing against week in, week out. Now, it's not an excuse, and I'm sick of fans using the excuse about a low block, because that's all you hear. Oh, it's a low block. It's like, oh, that's us down. We can't score now. But for me, a Haaland is a great kryptonite to that. And so that's, for me, I would go with Haaland. But just on your perspective, and just to finish with you on the kind of Mbappe Haaland chat, who would you say? Would you say it's definitely one of them who's going to be the next world beater, or have you got anyone maybe left field you consider could take that mantle?
I mean, I'm fairly confident that Haaland will sustain it for his period of his career. With Kylian Mbappe, it all hinges on his move. I mean, one thing that we need to take into context is that Kylian Mbappe has already been sold from Monaco to PSG for 168 million euros. So he's already had a massive move. Whereas Haaland is still incrementally building his career now. So obviously he's gone from Salzburg over to Dortmund. And there's still more gap for him to climb up into higher, or for a better choice of words, more competitive teams. So for me, I would be fairly certain that Haaland can sustain it. But for me, Mbappe, it remains to be seen. I mean, not everyone can light up other leagues. We've seen it with players coming over to the UK, the Premier League in the past and whatnot. I mean, Andrei Shevchenko was a massive dominant striker at AC Milan for a long period of time, went over to Chelsea and did very little. I think one name that I like to pick out is Fernando Morientes. When he came to us kind of at the later stages of his career, but he did come over to us and he had a big name behind him. And I think he scored 6 goals in 41 games. So there's always food for thought there that I like to add into context. But left field suggestions, it's kind of weird, because a player can come out of the dirt in six months to 18 months, like they could be on a great run of form. It's about how they sustain the incline for me. And obviously we're seeing Haaland is sustaining that incline. But with Mbappe, in my personal opinion, he's already achieved what he's achieved in the league at Monaco. He's just replicating that in a different French side. So it'll be intriguing for me to see if he came to England or if he went across to Spain. I don't know what your guys' thoughts on that would be.
On you go, Gav. On you go.
I think it rests massively on their agents. I genuinely do. Like, what age is Kylian Mbappe? 22, I want to say.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, and Haaland
21. Haaland is
21. So
that's
for
mental.
me, it is mental. But for me as an agent, and you have to look at it from this point of view because of the money that's involved in football now, signing on fees, endorsements, and I think that's where Mbappe has the extra edge over Haaland. He's more marketable, the whole Nike thing and all. But isn't like, I'll put it this way: if Kylian Mbappe sees Liverpool as a realistic opportunity to go there, all right, but Kylian Mbappe sees Real Madrid as his absolute dream, which one's he going to do first? I'd argue we do Liverpool first. Now, this is not me telling you Liverpool are signing Kylian Mbappe before anyone fucking clips it up and starts saying I'm going on about this, because it's not. But what I'm saying is it in his interest to go, and do you know what? I'm going to go to the Premier League at 22 years of age. I'm going to spend 3 seasons at Liverpool, and I'm going to try win everything I can there. But then I get the dream move at 25, okay, to Real Madrid, because that's his dream. I'm not knocking. That's not me telling you Real Madrid is a more appealing opportunity than Liverpool right now. It's not in no way, shape or form for me. But at 25 then, or 26, I get that move. I get a 5-year deal. I run to 31. I'm now in the game 13 years at the top level. And I've played for Monaco, PSG. I've gone to Liverpool, or wherever it might be, and on to Real Madrid. That's my final destination. You hear it so much about Suarez, Coutinho, loads of players. Barca is the one, or Real Madrid is the one, and it happens all the time. And it could be just one of those where, because they do plan it out. There's no way they don't, lads. So Raiola might be looking at going, you can go to Madrid now. I can get you colossal money. But what happens in 5 years' time if it feels stale? Where do you go? Because you're at your dream now. Do you feel like you're moving down a level, even though you mightn't be, even to a Manchester United, a Liverpool, a Chelsea, a City, whoever it might be, or a Bayern Munich or someone like that? It would feel personally for him a drop down or a move away from his dream. Haaland is similar. I think I don't know where Haaland wants to be. I know I have a feeling Mbappe wants Real Madrid. I don't know where Haaland sees himself. I'm surprised Haaland doesn't see himself at an English side with his father before him played in England, and brought up on that kind of English football mentality. Who was his team? The sort of way. And it could be a case of where he goes to Real Madrid or Barcelona and then says in 4 years' time, I want to move on. I want to go to Man City, or I want to go to Liverpool, or wherever it might be. So I think you have to look at that. I think it's absolutely huge in the scale of things as to where they plan themselves. It's like any of us, planning a career. Where do I see myself in 3 years? You get asked that question all the time. Where do you see yourself in 3 years? Where do you see yourself in 5 years? And I think the end goal is always your dream. And I wonder if your dream is Real Madrid or Liverpool, do you go to them first before moving on? I'd argue you might not.
No, exactly. Sorry, just to check in the chat, it was Dopey was asking there, is just to say in the chat, is the picture okay, everybody? If you can just let us know if everyone's picture's okay out there. It might just be
here.
Yeah, it's all good. Just checking. On that, Gav, I've got a few good comments here I'll get to after that. Really good point is, I've got to be honest, maybe controversial now, right? Nah, see, for me, the Barcelona Real Madrid thing, I've always understood it. Don't get it now. Because if you watch Real Madrid against Chelsea last season, it was like men against boys. I don't think a Kylian Mbappe changes Madrid in that sense. It makes them better, obviously, but I still think they're susceptible in so many areas that doesn't matter if you've got the best winger in the world. He's not going to stop them conceding the space they're conceding. And for me, obviously, Barcelona are an absolute mess, and I'm sure maybe Madrid are closer to getting back to success than Barca are. But to me, I think there's a big gap right now. I don't see why, and I'm not deluded in the sense of Liverpool's my team. I don't think everyone should see that as their goal because they're not fans, they're footballers. But I think there's a massive gap right now. Like I do not understand for 1 minute why Madrid's attractive right now. Like I don't get it. I always understand money, but money's not an issue anywhere. You can get money anywhere now. Kylian Mbappe will get more money at PSG than anywhere else. So I find it really interesting because I do believe that his mindset's probably that. But I've got to be honest. I think it's like what's the word? A stale mindset by him if he thinks, because I'm telling you right now, see this attitude of players going somewhere and reigniting a club. I've never seen.
Oh,
He's
Right,
stopped.
we seem to have lost him. I
Yeah.
will just segue quickly. I wanted to add on to a quick point until we get Conroy back about the.
There he is. He's back.
There we go. Go ahead,
He's
mate.
back.
When did I finish there? When did
You
I finish
finished there where you said, I've never seen, and then you just froze on us.
I was saying, see, do you know how it's like maybe I'm being harsh here, but it's like move a cart with a dead horse. It's like, to me, I don't understand how it's appealing to a player to go to a team who's not in a good way, not got a good team around them, to be the knight in shining armor. Like, I've never seen that be successful.
Yeah, but you made a point earlier about, if a Haaland came to Liverpool, would he be okay with? Would he want to be the main man? Would he be okay with this? Would he be okay with that? Haaland rocks up at Real Madrid tomorrow. He's the main man. He's the absolute main man, and he becomes way more marketable than he is now at Borussia Dortmund. All right, he becomes the face of Real Madrid. Okay, he gets all the money he wants. Okay, he goes in. He literally is the main man at Real Madrid if he rocks up there tomorrow. And you're saying about that, it's also a lifestyle thing. Living in Madrid.
I think it's
great
Santiago
weather.
Mune's goal
Yeah,
too. Is that what you think it comes down to?
Yeah, great
Like,
weather.
I'm not being tongue in cheek. Like, I'm actually being serious. Like, being in a Galactico, only team not to win a Champions. That didn't win. Didn't win the league, did they? The Galactico team. People talk about that Madrid team, but it's that the kind of the culture there. I do understand that, Gav. But do you not think football's changing right now in the sense of, I don't know. I just think I do not see Barca and Madrid, especially with Messi leaving. Like, this is not a quick fix for them. I feel like there's 4 teams ahead of them in the world pecking order. And that might just be me. But I get what you're saying with the main man thing. I do. But Madrid against Chelsea were just, honestly, that semi-final was the easiest semi-final I've
what
seen.
Gav's on about, though, in terms of Madrid need to act fast. I think they really ought to act fast, because you're totally right. Barcelona and Real Madrid are a shadow of their former selves, and I think Real Madrid understand that and are in a financial position where they can get a big name in and obviously bring back that marketability. Obviously, shirt sales will rocket, whereas Barcelona are not quite in that same stretch. So for me, I think it will be Atletico, Real Madrid, possibly some of the fringe teams that have obviously qualified for Champions League this season. Potentially Villarreal might have a good run for the next couple of years until Barca recuperate. But I really, really think Gav's onto something with the fact that Madrid need to kind of act fast and bring in that person to obviously.
Yeah, well, that's why they done the 160 mil, didn't they? They pulled that 160 mil bid. Gav's got another theory on that. Maybe just to kill. Well, I remember you saying you'd said that you think possibly they maybe had that money eventually, but it was just a power move to show.
Oh yeah,
play the hand a bit.
It's not only that. Like, again, we go back to agents. Raiola could be saying to Madrid, "You throw it in there and see what happens," and we see where we test the water. But let's be honest about it. In 4 months' time, you can offer my player a deal for next June. Okay, that you can pay him whatever you want and pay me whatever I want, and it'll be considerably a lot less than 160 to 200 million pounds. Like, I thought it made no sense what Real Madrid were doing. And you have to remember, they've spent very little money in the last 2 or 3 summer windows. I think Real Madrid. Is this the 3rd summer in a row you haven't spent any money?
I think you're right, 3rd, yeah. And they cleared a lot out this summer as well. So
yeah, they've cleared it out, and obviously they've turned their stadium into a massive tinfoil hat for some reason, but that's their own business. But they're clearly Real Madrid in the past would look and go, not good enough, didn't win a league title. It kills them if Barcelona win it, kills them even more if Atletico win it. And they usually look and go, right, that's not good enough. 50, 60, 70 million here, 70 million there, and they'll go for it over the space of probably 2 transfer windows where they'll absolutely launch money at it. But they seem to have, with everything happen in the world coinciding with them doing that stadium, I think they've, for once, Real Madrid have taken a kind of, defensive look on it, or step back, pragmatic look, I suppose, and said.
Do you think the 3-peats maybe gave them a bit of time as well, Gav, when they won La Decima and then they won the other 3 after that? Do you think those fans were a bit more, not content, but we'll let them off a year?
Yeah, maybe so, but those fans are notorious for not being in any way patient.
Don't get me started on Madrid. But I think, don't get me started.
But I think the COVID stuff, I think the fact of what they're doing to the stadium, you know, look, anybody knows when you do something to a stadium and you have COVID, you know, there's no money there. It's as simple as that. You know, Spurs put £1 billion into one of the most impressive stadiums you'll see in the world of football now. And they're sitting there and they can't do anything with it at the moment. So it's one of those where Real Madrid are probably taking a pragmatic look, and it'll do them all right over the next 2 or 3 years, I think, because when things come back and they are back on track, they'll be able to compete with anybody. And regardless of what state they're in, lads, you know, Real Madrid come calling. It's a hard thing to tone down. The size of them, the amount of European Cups. Well, they bought the first 5 or 6, but after that, they've a serious amount of European Cups, league titles. The name, they're so famous. The stadium is unbelievable. The city to live in, the style of living, it has the lot. It ticks absolutely most boxes.
No, that's absolutely fair point, Gav. I think that was a good chat about that. I just wanted to add this comment. The comments have been really good the last 5 minutes. Always good, but some really good questions, folks. WO says Mbappe looks like he's almost peaked. I think that's why he wants a move to help him move up a level. That's an interesting point. I got to be honest, I feel like I can't work out, right, because you know what the media is like. You mentioned it earlier, Gav, about the French team. And I don't actually think it's because of just the penalty miss, because it's not the worst penalty I've seen in my life. But I feel like the build-up to that, the whispers in the camp, Benzema coming in, then Rabiot's mother, who's his agent, shouting at Mbappe's kind of family and agents as well. It's just an absolute mess. I don't know if that's kind of included as well, if it's actually that's accelerated this theme that he is becoming arrogant and getting too big for his boots, or if it's maybe just the media just throwing something and try to get something to stick with him. But what do you guys think? Do you think it's more a dream move, or do you think he just wants to continue to progress to be that number one player in the world?
I've got two notions really. The first, which was I was going to segue into it when you froze, but I think that just going into the Haaland Mbappe discussion quickly, Haaland will never have the pressure playing for his national side that Mbappe will constantly face. So that gives him.
You
a lot
could
of
also
freedom.
say Haaland will not have the same players around him either, though, because that's
No,
a double-edged
precisely.
coin, you know.
So he should be able to play with a little more freedom and less pressure, knowing that Norway will struggle to compete on any front in any sort of tournament. But then another thing that I wanted to say about Mbappe potentially moving to Real Madrid, I genuinely do not think that Real Madrid would approach for a player, someone like Mbappe, without having at least 2 more names to come in and support him. I genuinely don't. I think they're gearing up to kind of formulate this next era of players, and I think they've secured some long-term contracts this summer. I think Ernesto Valverde has signed a contract. I know that they've got some exciting talent in there at the moment, but they just need to pad it out with some superstars. And I genuinely don't think Mbappe would be lured by money, as Gav has alluded to, because PSG would be the best option for money. He's guaranteed to get trophies every season at PSG as well. So I genuinely do think that they're trying to assemble some sort of squad with Mbappe as well. Obviously, they've lost some key players. They need a centre-back because Nacho's not good enough. They've obviously let Ramos go to PSG. Varane's gone to United. So I genuinely do think that they're gearing up to have another real go at it. But as Gav mentioned again, what with COVID and whatnot, maybe their plans have been scuppered somewhat. But that's just a brief thought that I'd had.
No, that's a really good one. I feel like it's just I could talk about Madrid all day and about the way football is now. But Laura Duffy, hi Laura, thanks for the comment. She was saying it's not a coincidence that Mbappe didn't re-sign with PSG. And I think he knows it has gotten stale. That's a kind of interesting point as well. Kind of following on to what you're saying, Finn, as well. That it's I was quite surprised as well. I understand not re-signing, but for me, you stay a year. You're playing with, in my opinion, the greatest player ever. You stay a year and do that. To me, that it doesn't matter what ego you've got. You'd learn more in 5 minutes playing with Lionel Messi than you'll learn in the rest of your career, and especially for that longevity. And as Gav said, for a player who, not saying he does, but you talk about not heavily relying on pace, but the pace is an attribute there.
Yeah.
That Lionel Messi he can do so much in his game that he doesn't have to think about that, you know. So it's an interesting one, it really is. But some of the comments are brilliant there. Thanks again. But on that, folks, just kind of move. Anything else you want to add on the Mbappe situation, or just straight away, just a quick one-word answer, Gav? Where do you think Mbappe will end up?
Real Madrid.
Real Madrid, straight after this move, next move.
Yeah,
Real
Real
Madrid.
Madrid.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I think he does. Like I said, if it was me, I'm kind of looking at it from a career path, but I think probably thinking about it now while we're talking over the last 20 minutes or so, the state Real Madrid are in and what they need, they're not going to wait. They're not going to wait for him to go somewhere for 2 or 3 years and then go and look for him. Yeah, I think it's Real Madrid.
Yeah, and that's fair enough. And I think Bajan Pops LFC says they'll always be attractive because of their history similar to us. Completely understand that, and that's a good point as well. I just think it's football's in a strange time right now, because I don't know if I'm maybe looking too much into the tactics, but Real Madrid are famous for the galactical theme. You know, it's by the stars and just you'll figure it out. Which, let's be honest, that's not really a good approach to football. You need some sort of system, and right now systems are winning. Let's be honest, Manchester City PSG semi-final Champions League is the highlight of that, and in the final against maybe not Chelsea, systems are winning.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm not just saying it's only a system; it's obviously players performing roles well in tactics. But
do you think that's why they got Ancelotti back at Real Madrid, so that he can imply some sort of system?
Possibly. Like, I always find it funny. Like, see how Zidane was so successful. Like, I mean, obviously Zidane's good and he knows his game, but I just found it funny how it's like, I think to me he's got that aura, so players will do certain roles. But every time I watch Madrid win things, I always thought they could have conceded 3 in those games at times. Like, they weren't like the most secure. They played open style football. And it maybe wasn't Brendan Rodgers 13-14 Liverpool were going to outscore you, but there was certain games where I was like their keeper. Like Navas, the amount of games Navas had to pull off like 3 or 4 one-on-one saves was ridiculous. But it's going to be interesting. But on the points then, so Gav thinks it'll be Madrid, and do you agree, Madrid for Mbappe, Finn?
Yeah, completely agree. Different with Haaland, but Mbappe, yeah, I think he's going to go straight there.
And turn that, I'll start with you again, Finn. Where do you think Haaland's going to go next?
Bayern Munich.
Oh, what about yourself, Gav?
Yeah, we've seen the Bayern Munich stuff come up, didn't we? Towards the back end of the window where Bayern dropped that little. They always do it, don't they? Yeah, he's a player we'd absolutely look at. I don't know if they can get him for the money that I don't know if Bayern Munich can go out and do 120 odds, 130 million on. No, he has a buyout clause of 75.
Yeah, that'll drop, won't it?
Yeah, it's 70. I think it's 75 in the summer. They may be able to do that, but I think Bayern are in a bit of trouble with the fact that they gave Leroy Sané a huge contract, and now they're having to up other players, all their other top players, and to bring them in line. He'd be mad to go to Bayern Munich. Like he's literally just swapping the second best team for the top team. I understand that domestically, and all right, a bit more of a chance in Europe, but he's not doing anything for his football and development at 22 to stay in Germany. For me, you know, I agree. It's a bit of a mad one. Manchester City, I think he ends up at.
Fair enough. For me, I think it'd be City as well. I think maybe I'm holding too much on the fact his dad played there and Roy Keane broke his dad's foot for Man United. Holding on, I don't think he'll go to United because of that. But who knows? Football's a strange game and money talks. But
you could argue United are making that move with Ronaldo over the 2 seasons to, you know, they're clearing the decks because Martial won't be there for me at the start of next season. You know, I like Rashford. I like Greenwood. I'll get on to Greenwood in a bit, but you know, Cavani won't be there. They may look and go Martial and Cavani out, and they bring this guy in and a year with Ronaldo and whoever else is around him. But
that's a good shout, Gav. I mean that to me sounds like logical planning, but football doesn't work like that.
It does, but the fact that Manchester City didn't do anything striker wise, and we're going to pin 100 million on Harry Kane, and didn't in the end because Harry Kane bottled the move.
I think they'll wash their hands with Kane now. I think that's it.
Yeah, he's another year older, and he's telling people the fans kept him there, and he's making all those noise. He's lying, but anyway, he just didn't have the balls to go and push that transfer through by doing what he should have done and told Sports he should have went. I said this to you a couple of weeks back. But the fact that City didn't pull the trigger on anyone else makes me think that they're looking at going 75 million as pocket change to them. And even if Raiola is getting 25 million out of it, they're still throwing 100 million quid down, and they're paying that guy what all the other players are getting paid. So it doesn't matter.
And they'll probably, let's be honest, and I'm not saying they'll win the league this year, but they did play a false nine a lot last year and they were successful in the league. And I'm not saying it's going to be that easy again. However, you've got Ferran Torres, who's kind of, he's impressed me recently, but he's kind of played more number 9. You've got Jesus, who's played out wide. They'll probably do that, Gav. I think they probably Kane. They're probably like, nah, we can't be bored with this hassle with Kane. We'll probably get Haaland in a year's time. Let's just hold off. And if they're desperate for a striker in January, they can probably get someone to do a job in the meantime. But just on a few comments, Jeremiah B, how you doing, mate? Conroy, do you think we can get Bellingham? I don't think we can afford him, to be honest. Just our model, I think he's going to cost. How much do you think Bellingham's going to cost, guys?
100 million quid.
108 if you're lucky, probably 100. To me, we're not going to pay that. I can't see, even for a talent that might last you 10 years. Do you agree with that, Finn? You see Bellingham come at Liverpool?
Yes, well, I'm just thinking, right, with him being 17 years old, I do expect him to maybe stay there until he's 20, 21, and I think the market will have moved on quite considerably then. My theory is once Messi and Ronaldo retires, there's going to be a mad scrabble for generational talents. And I think Bellingham might be in the mix once he's kind of hit that age. He would have integrated into the national side. Obviously, he would have racked up about 100 appearances for Dortmund, if not more by then. So it's going to be a mad scramble. And I think certain clubs, dare I say, even us, might be forced into these types of moves in a few years' time. I could be wrong, but it's something that I've theorized over the last 6 to 8 weeks. Once I've seen now I've seen a FIFA style transfer window occur with them Messi moving, Ronaldo moving. I really do think
I thought it wasn't real, mate. I thought I'd let you know how you get the career mode and you just let it run and you forget to just keep skipping games. I thought I just left that on. It was a simulation in my head, and then one day I was going to wake up. But no, so it's not the Matrix. So.
But yeah, so I think it could take that turn. I think there will be a few clubs that will have holes. As you've just mentioned, actually, with the whole Cavani and Martial thing, if City do decide to turn away from that Kane deal, it wouldn't surprise me if Man United went in for it and signed him on a 4-year deal till he's 32, 33, 34, They're the sort of team that would go out and do that. So.
No, absolutely, Finn. Really good shout. Just quickly, guys, because I know I've got a few questions I want to ask you, and I know he's want to get away for 10. Quick question is, what is Bellingham's ceiling? And I'm going to just answer Beijing Pop's question now. So, what type of player would you relate Bellingham as his ceiling? What level could he get to?
Anywhere he wants.
But
what age is Jude Bellingham? What age is Jude Bellingham?
Is he 17? I think 17.
He's 17 or 18 now.
He's 18. Okay,
yeah, he's 18.
So if you take it in comparison to Harvey Elliott, who's played a handful of games at Liverpool, and I think he's a fantastic footballer, Harvey Elliott. I think he's going to come into his own against lower block teams because I think he has that bit of nous about him, a bit of intelligence. He can see passes. Like Shawnee was at Anfield for the Burnley game, and he said the pass for Salah when Salah scores, and he said, Gav, it's so underappreciated. He sees a gap and he puts it in there. And we have massive hopes for Harvey Elliott, and quite rightfully so. He's come in, he's played at home to Burnley, he gets kicked from pillar to post. And people would say, well, that's part of the game. Well, it wasn't. Some of the stuff that happened to him clearly wasn't part of the game and shouldn't be. And then he plays against Chelsea. And don't get me wrong, I don't think it was his best ever game, but he wasn't outplaced. You didn't look at Harvey Elliott on that pitch and go, too much for Harvey Elliott. No way, did you?
No, I echo that.
And that's a handful of games. That's 2 Premier League games. 2. Okay? Jude Bellingham is a year in Dortmund now, am I right? He's a full season last season.
Bear in mind, when he was 16, he was. I had that interview when he was playing for Birmingham. He is. It's not about talking all the time, but he was acting like a 24-year-old in the park, like commanding the team and stuff at 16. Because there's an interview with Cal Naismith, who plays for Portsmouth, the Scottish player, and he said they're in the changing room after the game, and they're like, like that kid's 16, and he was just like picking players up. And I'm not saying that's so nuanced, but what I mean is he's ahead of his years in the way he's acting, which is definitely putting him in good stead. So see when everyone was criticising Birmingham at the time for like framing the number, and I know it was a bit like over the top, but it's probably not going to look stupid in 10 years' time.
No,
It probably isn't. But it's
no.
sorry,
But
Gav, it was just to say like from a young age he's been playing lots of games, which is going to stand him in good stead as well.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, when you see players and they have something about them. Now, we've seen plenty of players over the years where you go, well, he's brilliant, and he's clearly not. He has a half dozen games. Do you remember McKay at United, and everyone thought he was great? And I don't know where he is now, but he that famous goal against Villa and stuff.
It was some goal, to be fair. It was.
It was a great goal. Unfortunately. But when you look at Harvey Elliott as a comparison, similar ages, okay? Harvey Elliott being on loan with Blackburn comes back. Jude Bellingham, learns his trade. Not even learns his trade. He just plays at Birmingham and then they go, he's fucking deadly. And Borussia Dortmund go, here's 30 million quid. Because Borussia Dortmund aren't silly, all right? They've never been silly with their money. And 30 million quid on that fella at that age from Birmingham City is all you need to know when the name beside it is Borussia Dortmund. That's all you need to know. We've seen loads that have come out. Phil Jones at Blackburn, 20 million quid to Manchester United. Everyone wanted him. Phil Jones is sitting at Manchester United now, refusing to leave, refusing to go on loan because he just wants to sit on the bench at Manchester United, not even on the bench. And he was the next best thing. So you see players like that. But Jude Bellingham, for me, and I'm not, listen, people know that watch me or watch the shows I do. I don't watch every game of football that's on the television. I just don't. I don't have the time. All right. And genuinely, I don't have the interest. Okay. But anytime I've seen him, and I would say I've seen him probably play 10 games of football, every time I see him, he stands out. And the reason he stands out is probably because of his age. And you're going, what? 18? What, are you serious? And I look at, quite rightly at the moment, Calvin Phillips and Declan Rice are getting huge plaudits at England. And I'm looking at Jude Bellingham, who's around that squad at the moment, and I'm going, he's pissing all over both of them in the next year and a half. There's no doubt in my mind. He's a better footballer than Rice. He's a better footballer than Calvin Phillips. And in the next 18 months to 2 years, I think he will be England's midfield for me. He can go and do anything. With regards to Liverpool signing him, you hear all this Steven Gerrard as his idol and all that. I don't know how much weight that holds because it'll come down to money again. That's what it is. It's a money game. And people, I've seen a tweet the other day saying, Declan Rice could be the natural replacement for Jordan Henderson as he winds down his career over the next couple of years at Liverpool. And I looked at him and went, well, the fella beside him for England is better in Calvin Phillips. And the guy that's in the squad playing backup to the moment is even better than both of them, in my opinion. So he's going to be wanted. But you have to remember, do Borussia Dortmund sell Erling Haaland at 75 million next summer and sell Jude Bellingham at 100 million quid? They don't usually sell two big ones in one summer.
No, it's going to be an interesting one. I was just I'll come back to that in a second. Just to answer the one, it was Bejan Pops was asking about the Galacticos comment about not winning. Apologies, there's a few different Galacticos. The one I was referring to was the kind of early 2000s one, and just after that as well. They notoriously did not win the domestic league a lot. Like I think actually, do you know when David Beckham only won one league, one La Liga? That seems to get forgotten about a lot with Real Madrid. With Ronaldinho and Messi's kind of becoming outstanding. I mean, I don't know if you've ever seen the stat, but Barcelona's trophy change since they've came in is ridiculous. Like the trophies they've managed to catch up in Madrid. So I just think it's always a quite interesting point that there's been, I didn't mean that one, I didn't mean the three-peat Bejan, I meant that there's ones in the past, the so-called Galacticos, that actually probably didn't achieve as much as they should have. So, but it's a fair point, mate, I should have made that clear, but thanks for that. But Dan Bailey says he thinks Bellingham needs another year in Germany for me. Interesting one, Dan, and it's what Gav says, if Haaland goes next summer, you might find that that's the case. And Bellingham, he might not be in a rush to go anywhere as well. He might be quite happy there. You see what happened with Sancho. So it's very interesting. But sorry, Finn, what are you going to say, mate?
I think another thing as well that I was just going to extend on to the point would be like who would be on the peripherals for Borussia to pick up. I mean, obviously, one in, one out would be the best thing for them to do. So I think that plays a key part in the role. Obviously, they're happy to take the money, maybe sit on it for 6 months to 12 months, but if there is someone on the peripherals that can step into both them positions, that chap's name is a great shout, because it wouldn't surprise me if he made the step
K,
from
great
Ajax.
shout out, mate. Great shout out.
Yeah,
Thanks for that.
but if he made the step from Ajax over to Borussia, that would free up £100 million sale of Bellingham. I mean, that's a massive thing. That's who they've identified as suitable replacements. And if there's two individuals that are there come the window, then it's all systems go for Borussia Dortmund. Cash it in.
Yeah,
If not, sit on the player and build up their value even more. So
And
win-win long-term contracts.
I feel like they've kind of done a few things this summer that they can afford to. They're maybe not predictable and obvious in what they're going to do, which helps their stance as a club. But quick question, folks, actually to the comments. If you have got your kind of, someone mentioned, Chris Brack mentioned Michael Johnson there as your young player hyped up,
Yeah.
and then
And he was a really good player.
He actually was pretty good. I remember it was the kind of they signed Alano, Stephen Ireland in that team. It was actually they did have money before the money, you know, when it's Sven-Goran Eriksson.
Sven, yeah.
Yeah, they had like had a few decent players in that team. I always liked Alano, thought he was a good player. Some free kick on him. But in the comments, if you can think of any young players that were hyped that didn't, kind of reach expectations, maybe the flops is maybe harsh, but anyone's like that, just shove them in the comments, because that Michael Johnson one, that was a throwback. Because I think he ended up, there's
I think he went to Sunderland, and
I think he stopped playing completely, and he obviously I think there's a few articles I read on him, but
there was a couple of years back about him as to where he was. But do you know what? Like, I think Finn said, like, or it might be in yourself, Conroy, about a FIFA window where it's just gone crazy. I think next year is going to be even worse. When I say worse, I think it's going to be more dramatic, because if you actually look at, we're talking about a load of clubs here, right? And we're talking about COVID and coming out the back end of COVID, and there's big things about Liverpool and their finances and stuff like that. There's a great thread by the Swiss Ramble today on Twitter with regards to Liverpool's finances, and basically showing that they take in shitloads of money, but they spend shitloads as well. And you can look at it either way. And like I've said for ages, I understand people's frustrations, and then I understand where people might be a bit held back in regards to what Liverpool are doing because of what's going on. But if you look at like, say, Liverpool, right? Liverpool, there's no getting around it. Liverpool have players that are approaching into their 30s, and there's a fair amount of them. All right. You have Manchester United who are crying out for a midfield. Where they have Donny van der Beek that they don't seem to use. They've got Nemanja Matic that I think he's about 40. You have
you Fred about 2 years ago.
Yeah, you've Fred, who's, I don't know what the fuck's going on with Fred. You've McTominay, who's out injured at the moment, but I think he's a good player. And then they're looking at a bit of a rebuild. Even with the Ronaldo stuff, they're looking at a bit of a rebuild for me, and just shifting players around and getting one or two in. I'm not discussing Arsenal because they don't concern anybody. But Manchester City, if you look at Manchester City,
that's always Gav's losers of the week, by the way, Finn.
Yeah.
That's his losers of the week.
I can't do them this week.
This Wednesday. Yes, it will be, Gav. You'll find a way, mate.
No, it won't, because I'm hosting. I'm hosting this week, and there's been no football. Arsenal haven't lost the game.
Well, tell me, because what I might do is, Emi Martinez was in they were in the public health, came on the park. For the Brazil game. I'll link that to Arsenal somehow.
All right, I'll get it in somewhere.
I'll do that.
If he didn't leave Arsenal, he wouldn't have gone.
Exactly.
But if you look at even Man City, they bring in Grealish, but I think I have a feeling about Man City that they'll be looking for a revamp in the next year to 18 months as well. I think Gundogan is being brilliant, but for me there's some players in there that they're not sure of, especially at the back. And in midfield, so you're looking at a build there, right? After a year of nothing happening, or very little happening because of COVID, Liverpool, we've spoken about. Chelsea are probably the ones that have built the best, I think, in the squad they have, with regards to the age of them and stuff like that. But there's just so much there for me, where next year I think could be madness, and not only because what they need, I think the demand on clubs next summer to go, listen, last summer, right, you spent this, but it was a COVID thing. You didn't do any, we didn't do this, we didn't do that, and I think it's going to be manic next year.
That's mental. Like, I Gav, fair point, but I can't see. In my head, I can't accept it's going to be even more crazy. But the point's justified completely. That's crazy. But some of these comments are brilliant. Anthony Letalic, Pato, Bruno Cheru, Rossiter, Ravel Morrison, Freddie Adu, Granny Jeffers, I think Francis Jeffers. But there's some great ones there. And Chris Brack adds Michael Johnson was rumoured to be linked to LFC for 10 million as the next big centre mid. Didn't know that, Chris, but thanks very much for that insight.
Ravel Morrison was a huge one.
Yeah. He had a stinking attitude, though. Ever since he was a young kid, I think he thought he was all that in a bag of chips since he walked into the senior team. I think, didn't he get 1 or 2 games, and that was it?
I've heard, though,
he's with Derby now, isn't he?
In training.
Yeah.
He was because it was Sheffield United, wasn't it? It's just going to be the same old story. He was actually playing for Jamaica last night. They lost 3-0 to Panama. Don't know how they lost 3-0.
Wow, I didn't see that result. I knew they were playing.
Well, if you look at Jamaica's team now, we've got Mikel Antonio, Darryl.
Yeah, they've a serious team.
They've got a decent team. Bobby Reid.
That's a really, really bad result for them.
Michael Hector.
But there's a really good point, and Gav, I know you want to head bang on 10, mate, so just give me the call, all right, when you want to
walk away, keep going.
But it was Ravel Morrison. The only thing I'm a bit different with Ravel Morrison is, now, people in the comments, sorry, interrupt, Midnight Toker just said Bobby Duncan. That's a cheeky one there, Midnight Toker, but okay, that's
where is he now?
Well, he went to Fiorentina, then he came back. In the comments, if they know, I cannot remember.
He came back to Derby.
What, Bobby Duncan?
Yeah.
Is he at Derby as well?
I think he arrived back at Derby. I don't know where he is now.
Yeah, so there you go. If someone knows in the comments, let us know. But yeah, Morrison's at Derby as well, and he it was Rio Ferdinand. Now Rio Ferdinand's, sometimes I think he's got some good takes, to be honest, and other times I think it's just a controversial statement for the sake of being a controversial statement. However, he talks about when Ravel Morrison was in, because bear in mind when he was younger in the academy and playing with the first team, that is some first team. Like, the training sessions are ridiculous. And he just used to take the piss out of them. Used to peg them like they're not there. So I actually think when it comes to ability, he was different. But ability, actually, I know it's sort of cliche, but ability really is, like, you need to have so much more than that. There's so many great. If it came down to ability, Adel Taarabt would be one of the best players ever. But he just didn't put the effort in, didn't put the. It's not even work rate, but just like the whole mindset of football.
The drive.
But that interview, if you've not watched that, I do think Ravel Morrison was like a next level. Like, we're talking about, I think Elliott's very good and very promising. He's probably going to have a few bumps in the road as well, because the way he plays, to me, it's not continuous, but a little bit, because he's not fast. And there is games where Coutinho had to learn that teams who sit in, as you say, Gavi's intelligent, but he's going to have to, there'll be games where he has to work around that. It's not going to work out straight away, and you have to keep going with it. Whereas I think Morrison, I do think there was this type of, just like, I don't like when people say natural ability, but just the way he saw the game was just like, it was easy. It was so easy. But obviously just not got the attitude. And as I said, I think Dopey had said there, attitude-wise, that was the issue. But there's loads like that. And some people are just shouting at Jerome Sinclair. I think he got a few good moves. Did he not get a move down to Watford, Finn? I'm sure.
So he's had a bit of a funny one. Yeah, he's just got released from Watford. So I think Watford actually signed him quite a long deal. Actually, he ended up spending time at Oxford United, a few other loan spells, and I think just this summer gone, as they went back up from the Championship into the Prem, he did get released. Yeah,
no, fair enough. Sorry, Dopey was actually saying he wasn't as bad attitude-wise as others. I don't know if it's maybe just, how some people just don't see it as the be-all and end-all.
That's what it is.
Others do.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. It is interesting, but it's like sometimes, like, people will love to talk about Gaza when it comes to stuff like that. Like, didn't take it too seriously, but still obviously had the mindset. Different times as well.
The talent for Ravel must be there. The talent for Ravel.
But there's lots of talent, mate. Millions of people want to be footballers. Do you think they don't practice every day to get to that level?
No, you're definitely right.
It's just you need to fight for everything in football. I don't know if that's because I'm Scottish, and I don't know if maybe Irish and English as well, that when I see some footballers get into a certain level and not having certain traits, I find it baffling. I've had this conversation before, that I don't quite understand how you've got to that level. I don't know if that's a British thing, because it's a battle in every game, and then you can play. Whereas in other countries, I feel like, which is probably, there's an argument for both, that it's about the technical ability first, and then
I've got a really good point to add on to that, because when we were growing up, it was always send the youngsters out to a British team to bed them in, to solidify them, to kind of show them the culture from the kind of grassroots level. But you're seeing a lot of kids now go over to these European destinations, primarily Germany. But you are seeing a lot of kids go from like Arsenal to Germany. Like you got Reece Nelson, Maitland-Niles has spent time there. You got Bellingham over there now. So it is evolving. The shape of the world, of the footballing world, is evolving. Whereas before, you're dead right. I mean, a lot of the youngsters, they're like, right, off you go, Scunthorpe United, spend a year there, and grow up, become a man, and learn these valuable traits that will help you succeed in later stages of your career.
Absolutely. I don't know if Gav wants anything to add to this, but to me, I think even tactically and formation-wise, it's more Scotland. I can't speak for England, but I know, right, so if I go to Scottish Championship level, so you got SPFL, it's like Rangers, Celtic, and then you've got the Championship level. So Falkirk, they've been in the Championship a few times. That's just down the road near me. So I go to a game. Now you've got a player for Falkirk at that time, Craig Sibbald, can play like a number 10 role, quite a good player actually. A lot of teams looked at him at one point. United looked at him, didn't work out and stuff. But that type of player goes in the hole. But see when you're against a team, so a Ross County who's playing a 4-4-2 with two skinheads at centre mid, just wanting a fight. I know it sounds, and I'm not saying, I hate when people say other teams should adjust for you, but that's a culture thing in the way countries play football. That's a different video. But I just think we'll maybe get a video on that at one point, because I actually find that fascinating. There's some players that I see that have managed to fail at such a high level and be sorted for the rest of their life. And I'm like, how can you not have that trait at that level? So can you think about the amount of people that try to be footballers? It's fascinating.
I mean, that means you could be our personal Ben Woodburn correspondent this season then.
Yeah. Oh, interesting for Ben Woodburn. I'm not like, I know Liverpool fans will love to exaggerate when a young player comes on the park. I'm not one of them. Never thought Ben Woodburn would make it.
No, I agree.
And there you go. It's the same with Owen Beck. He'll probably end up somewhere. I know people think I'm cynical. Good for him. I hope he gets a career, but he won't be playing for Liverpool first team. Academies are business a lot of time, and maybe I'm 25 million for Rhian Brewster's the best bit of business we'll do in the next 10 years. It's unbelievable. But I'm only being tongue in cheek. But to me, that's what they're for. You maybe get the exceptions like Trent and Curtis. Gav, I know you want to leave soon, mate, so I'm just going to end with this one and just go as long as you want to go in, and you can literally just click off and say, stick your fingers up and leave. But sorry for going on, mate. We went on a bit of segment.
No, you're okay.
Me and Gav last time done a video on transfer updates, and we ended up talking 5 minutes on Eddie Howe. Don't even know how we got there.
It's great. I loved it. I loved it. I done a show last week where I talked about bourbon creams as well, which was amazing. The highlight of the week for me.
Well, a lot of the chat will know the Daytrippers, obviously, Gav, his channel, outstanding content there. But Gav this week's doing a little cheeky surprise one with, is it your friend Andy?
Well, you see, we were meant to do this tomorrow, and Andy's being rostered into work, so we don't know if we're going to get it done this week. So we're going to hold it off, and we just said, you know what? We're literally just going to throw it in next week if we can, regardless of whether there's football or not. We're throwing it in. Where me and Andy we just talk for an hour and a half about random stuff. I actually listened back to one of them last. I sent it to you, but I listened back last week and
it was mental. Talk about skips and Easter eggs, and
it's like ridiculous. It's actually ridiculous. But it was a lot of FSG stuff last week. But when you can talk about bourbon creams and stuff, it's way better than talking FSG for me.
Not exactly, but that honestly, folks, I know when you're hearing that, but when I started listening to that chat, we talk about segments. That your chat is just different segues into different things, and I don't know how
we had it. I was listening to one last week. We had a good somewhere between 5 and 10 minute argument about the location of water dispensers within a warehouse, and literally had a huge rep over it.
I know the conversation because you sometimes are like me in the way you take it in, and it's your reaction. You're like, it's like you double take what you said.
It was literally I think it was Andy got upset about people walking around with bottles of water in their hand, and I was asking why, and he just got really upset, and then it moved on to water in warehouses, and then he was like, put a dispenser on the warehouse floor, and I was saying it was health and safety. I actually tried to get him on that show to ring DHL because I convinced him that DHL will be open 24 hours, and he was like, well, I ringed them. I was like, yeah, absolutely, ring DHL. Andy actually on a podcast once rang the Ataturk Stadium in Turkey about something live on a show. and there's always all sorts of stuff, but we argue over weird stuff.
Throwing people off gantries, bin men chat is always.
Oh, the bin men, yeah. Well, Andy, I'm nearly hesitant to say this, but Andy's basically called every bin man in Ireland anyway a scumbag, and claims that every catalytic converter robbed in Ireland is a bin man.
He just doesn't know where he goes.
No, so it's one of those, isn't it?
It's honestly, Spotify, Finn, when you're driving to work tomorrow, get that listened to, mate.
If you go on,
100%.
do you know what? I've sent it to you, haven't I, on WhatsApp? So if you WhatsApp it on the feed.
Yeah, honestly, mate, it's just so like, see when Gav's explaining it, it's funny, but see when it's like talking about the Easter eggs, and then what is he saying? Like, that imagine if that falls and breaks someone's head, and it's like,
oh yeah,
he'll
no,
get
so
done by the police.
I asked, could we have solid Easter eggs? So if you buy a crunchy Easter egg, I want to bite into that. Instead of it being hollow, I want when you open that egg, it's fully like a crunchy inside.
Yeah.
Not little bits of crunchy, like fully a crunchy. And Andy was saying that no way would have happened because of health and safety grounds and the chances of somebody bringing it into a football stadium and throwing it at a player while he's trying to take a corner might be an issue. So it was just, it just goes on like that. I can't remember what it's called on our Spotify. It might be big. I think
it's big chat. It's like
Andy and Gav's big chat, or Andy and Gav's
right. I'll chase
best bits or something like that. Conroy has it. Conroy has it.
It's really funny. It's like the best bits. So how far can you jump between?
Oh, that's that was the question on our show for a long time. So, and people keep asking me to ask it, but I've ran out of people to ask it to. And the question was, if you are 50 stories up in New York, 2 buildings, both 50 stories, how far would the gap be that you could jump? And we'd all sorts of answers, like a foot and 11 foot, and people wanted to use a ramp. One person wanted to use a cape. One person was asked about the wind direction. Andy would only jump if there was
a forecast. That's
a ladder on the side of the building, and all sorts of stuff messing.
That's amazing, mate. Right,
but we do football stuff as well. Like we do talk about football as well.
But it's just it's superb. Gav, last before you go, Ronaldo, United, what's your thoughts? Because for some reason we've had a lot of transfer chat, and frankly, it's been a pleasure to get on your show, but I've not actually spoken to you about Ronaldo a lot, so I just wanted to get your take on the effect that will have in the Premier League and United.
Huge signing for United. Absolutely huge signing for United. He's the second best player in the last 20 years for me, behind Leo Messi, and I'm not saying that because he played for Manchester United. I just think Messi's a different breed to everyone else, in my opinion. But it's a huge signing. And people will say, like, they're paying 30 fucking whatever they're paying him, and they're paying him, is it 30 million over 2 years or something they're paying him? And they've paid 25 million quid, and I'm kind of going, so what? He's an absolute killer in front of the goal. He's their
merch will make a lot already. I've looked at some of the merch numbers.
Yeah, but you'll hear about them making stuff off jerseys. They don't make stuff off jerseys. Adidas hold all the rights to the football jersey sold by Manchester United. They get 75 million a year, and that's it. It doesn't matter how many jerseys they sell.
Sorry, it wasn't the merch one. There was something. I saw an article. It wasn't necessarily.
It's the stock exchange.
I think it's basically they'll make their money back pretty soon.
Yeah, because he's announced that their share price goes up, which means that if the Glazers want to sell any shares in Manchester United, they make more money off it. He's a huge signing for Manchester United. Like, he'll score goals. Laura Duffy says good manager signing. I think footballing wise, I think it's massive. I think, and people will say, will he put noses out with joint? The only nose he's going to put out with joint is the players that can't get in the team, i.e. Anthony Martial. Yeah. I can't see Greenwood is going to learn off him. Rashford is going to learn off him. Cavani will walk alongside him. I think they're the two kind of massively experienced players in their squad. I don't think it's going to, the noses it'll throw out with joint, I don't think it will matter. You'd be like Phil Jones saying, I can't get on the bench this week because Ronaldo's fucking torn up. Would you stop? Like,
I don't understand that one about the nose out of joint. Cavani's played with players a long time.
Yeah, but I think
that ego.
Yeah, I think the only thing you will find, or you might find, is that if it doesn't quite go right for United, you're going to have people looking for snippets from Ronaldo. What does he think of the whole situation? Then you're going to have Solskjaer under a load of pressure, which he's going to be now. We signed Ronaldo. It doesn't matter if he's 36. I don't care if he's 36. He
He's
scores
already
goals
under
all the time.
bloody pressure.
You know what I mean?
This is a myth that he's
So-
not like. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, I think football wise, I think it's a brilliant sign. I think it's and I keep mentioning Shawnee because we speak loads, but Shawnee said to me, it's bulletproof. It's a bulletproof signing. You know, the money that's spent is fuck all in today's money.
And
I don't
he's
care if he's
absolute
36.
killer, Gaff. He's an
Yeah,
absolute
he's
killer.
an absolute killer. He's always cold. The only footballer way I think it might hurt him is if they try play through him too much, if they look to him too much. Because Ronaldo, for me nowadays, isn't a player that runs a game, he's a player that impacts the game. And if you know you can find a way to play football where he's impacting, great. If they're looking for him to influence in a massive way, I think they might come unstuck, because that's when I think they might get the best out of their players. But I think the biggest winner of it all, for me, in everything, is Mason Greenwood, because I think he's a fucking superstar in the making. And I think they spend 2 years with Ronaldo. Nothing against Cavani or anybody else at Manchester United, but for Mason Greenwood and Sancho to an extent, I think both of them looking and playing with him and training with him for the next 2 years, I think is going to be massive for their careers, because I like Sancho. I'd love him at Liverpool. I'm not going to say I wouldn't, but I think Mason Greenwood is just an absolute star in the making.
And I think, as you said previously, the difference with Greenwood is it's maybe not even like a look at him technically. He is good technically. He's going to improve in certain areas, but it's to me, it's when he's in front of goal. To me, he seems ruthless. And I'm not saying that can't improve, but you talk about, I said Messi with Mbappe earlier. I mean, Ronaldo. It's funny how you say Sancho. It's funny, 5 years ago, or maybe 8 years ago, maybe 6 years ago, you'd say Ronaldo, Sancho, that's a great, similar sort of player. But obviously, because Ronaldo's adapted and more a number 9. But even when it comes to training and stuff like that, the standard he sets, it's just going to be different. So Finn, I'll come to you in a second, because I know Gav will want to leave soon. So Gav, quick one on that, mate. What do you think Ronaldo can do this season, or what do you think he will do this season, and where do you think Manchester United will finish?
He most certainly improves them, no doubt about that. I think the depth they have up front is really, really good, but I don't see them winning the league. I don't think they have enough around the rest of the park to win the league, and I think they have a good 14 players, and I think after that, I think they suffer. But you never know. It could be one of those where they run on adrenaline and Ronaldo's scoring every week, and we'll see what happens. But I wouldn't fancy them for the league. I still wouldn't fancy them over Liverpool for the league, and most certainly not over Manchester City or Chelsea. I think there's much more structure to those three teams, in my opinion. And I think Liverpool, City, Chelsea, for me, have more ways of winning football games, and I think that's what usually does it for you in the league.
Oh, that's a great point, Gav. I agree with you on that. I feel like it's going to be really interesting, because there's going to be lots of big matches. There's always a kind of story every week in the Premier League with a Super Sunday or an early kickoff, but this season specifically with Chelsea already being good tactically, and I know Gav absolutely loves Thomas Tuchel, but they've got Lukaku in there as well. Mount, what a player Mount is as well. Us, we are good on our day. We'll not get into the transfer business. We can do a job. Then you've got some other teams round about as well. You've got City, obviously, and you've got other teams round about. The Leicesters, the West Ham, who can cause an upset. There's teams who are tactically. I mean, even watch Wolves the other day. I know United haven't got Ronaldo, but I thought Wolves tactically absolutely dominated United. And I felt like that's 3 losses in a row for the manager. And I felt really sorry for him, because I thought Wolves, their finishing is just down to the players on that park. I mean, when, what's he called, the centre-back misses from 2 yards out, I don't know what else you're meant to do about that. That comes down to the individual for being a professional footballer, not scoring from that far out. And it's just I feel like just in that game in itself, I think it's going to be fascinating. Every week it's going to be a great battle or a great game. So Gav, I know you want ahead now, mate. So that's
No,
absolutely
go on, you
fine.
keep going. You keep going.
Honestly, it's fine.
Yeah, we're
it's
doing
fine.
another 5 minutes. You're all right. Go on,
Okay.
keep going.
Finn, just to take your take on that, mate, as well, because I know you're ahead soon. What's your take on Ronaldo?
I think
Same question I said to Gav.
for the league as a whole, it's amazing. I'm so glad, even as a neutral looking into United, I'm glad that he's come and joined the league again. I do hope this is it for his stage of the career now. So I think 2 years is ample. Yeah, it's good. I just as Gav has mentioned, I just don't think he's going to bolster United in the correct places where they ought to have kind of bolstered. I think they were crying out for a right back and they needed another holding midfielder. But I think he'll get a good 10 to 15 domestic goals this season. So, and Gav made a great point. As long as they don't filter all of their gameplay through him and they kill him and use him for 90 minutes at a time, they've got plenty of depth to rotate him, to keep him sharp, to keep him getting plenty of game time. I'd say 60 minutes every game would be more than suitable for him. But yeah, they need to utilize the Sanchos, the Rashfords, the Greenwoods, who, are second. He is an absolute lethal finisher, and it's just a crying shame that he didn't come through Kirkby instead of their kind of, academy. But it's good to see that there's competition in the league as well. That's one thing that I will add as well. It's not only that, obviously, Ronaldo's gone to United, but Grealish to City, and obviously Chelsea bringing in Lukaku. I think this year's race is going to be tighter than...
On a neutral point of view, exactly, Finn. It's fascinating. I don't give a shit about that when it comes to us against them.
No, of course.
But,
of course.
And the thing is, I've always, even actually in the past, Ronaldo hasn't always performed against Liverpool. There's been quite a few times where he has performed. I always remember kind of Rooney, Nani for some reason sticks in my head, and Ronaldo when they were winning the 3 in a row and they had those nets, like they had the wide nets at Old Trafford, and I just thought we weren't great at the time, and even when we are good, we always struggle at Old Trafford. I hate that 90 minutes more than any game in the season. I actually hate it. It's just, even when we do get a result, very rarely have the Brendan Rodgers 3-0 win. That's a one-off. Can thank David Moyes for that one. But I mean, even when I remember we played United, we were great. They had players falling off the park and we still couldn't beat them. Hate playing at Old Trafford. Ironically, this season we beat them when we were in a poor state, which is quite funny. But Dan Bailey kind of adds a really good point, lads. He says, if you look at the involvement at Juve in the past two seasons, he isn't a build-up player anymore. He's there to sniff out chances in the box now, and the stats show that. Great point, Dan, and I think Gav alluded to that earlier, that he's not going to kind of kick the game off now. It's play everything through him. It's going to be, if you can get the supply into them, he's an absolute killer. And to be fair, I think when you actually, Gav makes good points as well, he said about Rashford and stuff like that. Yeah, I mean, if you can free up space for them, or get the right service to him, I think he could maybe score about 20 to 25 goals. I'll be honest. I know that's a big statement, but I just feel like he'll score against the teams who they're better than. And he is an absolute ruthless finisher. And as much as he can't, Gav won't like it. He scored 2 against Ireland the other night. But see those type of goals, that's what he's good at. It wasn't good in that game, but he doesn't need to perform well anymore. He can just be ruthless. And that's an asset in itself, because United, for me, growing up, I used to hate them, was they'd play poor, team would play better, like the Wolves game, but United would win. To me, that's the definition of United when I was growing up. I'm not saying that, of course, they played well and won, but they were notorious for playing poor and winning a game because they had people who could just have an aura and pen teams in with that presence. And for me, it's absolute great. I think I agree with Gav and yourself, and I think they'll finish a bit higher, but I don't think they'll win the league. Possibly second or third, but I don't think they'll win the league.
Yeah, I'm thinking third. My predictions before this whole... we done a stream together, Conroy, and my Premier League prediction has stayed the same even after Lukaku turned up at Chelsea and Ronaldo has turned up at United. My prediction was Chelsea to win the league, City to finish second, United to finish third, and Liverpool to finish fourth.
You wouldn't Gav ones as much more positive. I said Liverpool second, and I was getting thrown out the stream.
It's lucky that we didn't sign any extra players since then, to be fair, because I knew we'd have it. Well, it's a conversation for another day, but depth issues, and we're starting to see the cracks appear now.
We're going to talk about that tonight, mate. That's no longer a video. But Bejan pops out a great comment, mate. He says also adds a fear factor which forces people to set up differently. Absolutely. Yeah. That's a great comment. Superb comment. But so that's kind of finished with the Ronaldo thing. I was going to maybe just stay on and maybe just do a few more points, but if you still want to go, that's absolutely fine. I could just speak to the comments for a bit. I'll maybe stay on for the next 5-10 minutes.
I have to run anyway.
I can stay on for 5 minutes more. That's not a problem.
All right, cheers, Gav.
Be good, boys.
Thanks for coming on, and thanks again, Gav. And we'll get another one sorted soon, mate. All right.
See you in a bit. Be good.
Cheers, mate.
Take care.
See you, mate. So yeah, thanks for staying on, Finn.
All right.
As I say, apologies, folks, the comments again. I know I keep sneezing and sniffing, and I know it's annoying. I'm just trying to get through the video, but the comments have been brilliant tonight, so I've missed some of them as well. They've been really, really good. Anybody in the chat, if you've got any questions you wanted to ask before involving Ronaldo, how you think he'll get on, just general topics you want to chat, I'll stay on for a bit and can answer any as well. And who do you think the next world beater will be? Just kind of what we covered in this video. And as I say, thanks very much to Gav for coming on. He's a very, very busy man. I know Finn is as well. So I appreciate you both coming on and really respect it, mate. Is there anything, I've got any other business section I want to start doing, Finn. But before we do that, I want to do one question on my channel. And the day trippers will know this as well, Finn. What's one of your favourite movies? Or, I'd say your favourite. We'll say one of your favourite movies in your
One
top
of my
5.
favourite movies. And it's something that I kind of grew up on. It's going to be a bit of a left field one. But it's a film called Blue Streak, and it's got Martin Lawrence in.
Yeah, no, I've seen it. The pizza delivery guys, the false teeth and the
Pizza
diamond and the
delivery!
police. Yeah, mate, I've seen that. I had that in VHS. I had that, honestly.
Absolutely quality film. I've seen it about 10 times, and it never tires me out. It's got Owen Wilson's brother, Luke Wilson, Martin Lawrence, and he plants a diamond in this construction site. Is being chased down by the police, gets sent away, banged up. Comes out, knocks on his girlfriend's door. Oh, you've put on a bit of weight. And then she's like, mate. Come get your boyfriend. Oh, such a good film. And then, he finds out that he's planted his diamond in a newly built police station. So,
it's NYPD police station. It's a brilliant, honestly, it's a brilliant. Honestly, mate, what a shout that is. No, I love that. That's proper left field.
It's one of my favourites, and it's not a serious one. It's not gritty. It's not going to win loads of accolades, but it's something I've always enjoyed watching. It's good humour, and it's just got a good storyline to it. So
anyone in the comments, let me know your favourite movie or one of your favourites. Antio Chill said The Dark Knight, brilliant movie and a brilliant trilogy. What's your thoughts on that, Finn? I think The Dark Knight, what a. I was going to swear. I keep wanting to swear tonight. What a movie for me. The Dark Knight.
The Dark Knight was brilliant.
I don't think there's a superhero movie that's as good as Dark Knight.
I actually ought to watch it again. I haven't seen it since it's probably been released, to be fair.
I remember seeing The Dark Knight. Like, I remember I was young, 14. I remember watching The Dark Knight and being like, that was unbelievable. I've never seen a superhero movie like that. For me, that's like a kind of standalone, in my opinion. Each to their own. People like Marvel. I don't mind Marvel. They're quite good. But I loved The Dark Knight. I thought it was stupendous.
Yeah, Laura Duffy has made a brilliant comment there. If you can bring it up, it definitely.
Dave Chappelle, he's in it. I forgot. And he's in the alleyway, and he's like, he's pulling him back like that.
That's so good. Brilliant.
That's amazing. Brilliant. Honestly, the chat, amazing. Honestly, folks, what a show!
And he's in the corner. He gets held up in the corner store, and he's like, "Huh? Is that you?"
Aye, for the potato chips and stuff. That's amazing. I'm going to watch that tonight. But
it's not a long film either. I think it's an hour and a half, and it's also got the bad guy in it is in Home Alone 3.
Aye, the Russian guy. No, that's a belter. What was I going to say there before that?
Sully, isn't it? Sully, I think his name is.
Yeah. It's and Jamie said the Shawshank Redemption. What a film
Great
as well.
Film. Proper classic.
We'll get. This is what we're going to do. We're going to have a movie show as well now, just because I like talking about movies. But Shawshank Redemption was a flop at the cinema as well. The weekend it came out, or the weeks it came out, there was a lot of other big movies on. So it's so funny now that how many people say that's in their top 5 movies. It's really, really interesting. Midnight Toker says Happy Gilmore, mate. Happy Gilmore, man. Listen, I've got a soft spot for Adam Sandler.
In the hips.
I like Adam Sandler. Some people love to hate him, but I actually like him. I thought Happy Gilmore was so funny.
We were talking about this off stream yesterday, in fact, weren't we?
Yeah. I think it's like.
Have you seen his one of his latest films?
Have you not seen Uncut Gems? You've not seen Uncut Gems. You need to see in the chat. If you've not seen you need to watch Uncut Gems. It's not like he has a very different role. It's honestly one of the best movies. It's
at the end.
Very good.
Yeah, I was surprised with
the Don't tell them if they've not seen it.
No. But very good ending, people. Watch it.
Doffy says, I worked on The Dark Knight. Do you know about this, Finn?
Yeah, so big up to yourself, Patrick. Patrick has he's worked for Warner Brothers Studios in the past.
You can't just drop that in, Patrick. That is just like amazing fact. That's like the coolest thing I've ever heard, mate. That's unbelievable.
So Patrick spent time what's on known as the green teams, and he was basically dealing with all the plant life that they'd source and put onto the movie sets and stuff like that, digging trenches and all sorts of really cool stuff where they'd be ordering in like exclusive palm trees from all around the world just to put onto a set overnight. But yeah, really good stuff.
Can't just drop that in like it's nothing. Like, that's unbelievable.
He worked on the reboot of Mary Poppins, and one of his jobs, he won't mind me saying, was literally sticking fake cherry blossom onto cherry blossom trees, and it took months of just sticking cherry blossoms onto cherry blossom trees for Mary Poppins. It's on the opening credits of the first.
Amazing, mate. But not fake like Tom C. Who does he mean when he says Tom C?
Tom Cruise.
Tom Cruise, right? No, because I was thinking Tom Hardy because he was in Dark Knight Rises. If you meant Tom Cruise, really, we'll get into that. We'll get him on as a guest that can tell us the details on Tom Cruise. So give him a message. We'll get him on.
Yeah, definitely. That. I think he's up for joining us. Actually, he'd mentioned to me in passing.
Get him on. We'll get a kind of half football, half movie one.
Yeah, it'll be good.
I only wanted to do this 2 minutes, but the shouts are great. I'm sorry, I'm getting into it. This is me.
I saw was it Bayesian Pops put Blazing Saddles, amazing Mel Brooks film, which is I love Mel Brooks.
Mate, but T Judgment Day, Terminator 2, what a movie that is.
Yeah. Jamie Phillips makes a good one. Raging Bull. Is that the Mark?
That's De Niro, yeah.
Oh, so, am I thinking Mark?
Repo Man with Jude Law. I've actually seen that. It was a remake from Repo Man. That's a decent shout as well with Forrest Whitaker. Jamie Phillips, Coming to America, cracking film. Ace Ventura, cracking.
Coming to America is hilarious.
Raging Bull. Yeah, Raging Bull. Raging Bull's got Joe Pesci as well. No. That's The Fighter. Raging Bull's De Niro and Joe Pesci. Crack on finishing. Yeah, sounds good, mate. Love that. Conroy thinks that Tom says. No, I thought because I was thinking of Dark Knight, Laura, I was thinking because Tom Hardy was on that. That was my fault. I thought he may have said C instead of H. I don't think. I like Jerry Maguire. I think Jerry Maguire's a top movie. I know Patrick won't like that, but I think Tom Cruise is really good in Jerry Maguire. So I'll say it. But we'll get Patrick on, have a bit of film chat. Sorry, folks. I'm going to talk about football before we finish, but these are great. Southpaw, great boxing film. Great shout. Star Wars, Rogue One. Lots of brilliant ones there, folks. Right. Any other business? Anything else you want to add, mate?
I think that's me for tonight, mate. It's been an absolute pleasure to come back on again.
No, it's a really good show. I say I'm a bit under the weather, so I really appreciate you bearing with me tonight. And we've got some good topics to chat.
People in the comment section, please do drop a like. Please do subscribe if you're new and hit that notification bell. Conroy and I, we do a few streams together, but he has put a lot more content out now. The season's in full swing, so like will go far.
No, yeah, I appreciate it. I forget to do it in every stream.
I know you do.
My guests have to do it. So if you're watching, that's how forgetful I am. But yeah, in general, in the comments, I'll kind of finish off. If there's any last questions you want to ask it now. I think Jamie said something there. Did City have a worse transfer than us? Quick question, Finn. What's your thoughts on that? Obviously, they signed Grealish and we signed Konate.
I think they had a similar transfer to window to us. I think they spent a lot of the time tying down contracts like we did. I think Ederson, Ruben Diaz signed long-term contracts. Obviously, what Gav was saying just before he departed, I think he's pretty right in the sense that maybe they will be clearing a bit of deadwood. Maybe January, maybe in summer next season. So it'll be interesting to see how it plays out, but they've definitely got more depth than us. So in terms of just the window, I think they marginally had a better window than us because they obviously attracted someone that was going to pay dividends. They needed someone that was going to create, someone that was going to win fouls, someone that
I think time will tell, Finn. I think Grealish will be a good signing. I've not got a doubt on that. Like, even if he doesn't hit the heights they think, I still think he'll perform, and he'll perform for them, and he'll win trophies, and he'll be successful. And I think if they can win a Champions League in that time, they'll see that as money well spent.
Yeah,
because he'll free up space for other players as well, and I think he'll improve. So good question though, Jamie. Patrick says a fantastic actor and the best I've worked with at his job. Just that. I like that one. We'll get you on for a show, mate. I want the details. That's brilliant. You can bring all your film story details. I'll just chat. Me and Finn can chat for half an hour. That would be great, mate. How many prings have you had? I've had 0.5 today, Chris. Opened it, broke it up, had one, and put the saran wrap back on, and put the lid back on because that's me. That's a joke from another stream from the other day because basically I didn't gamble in the draft and I stuck with my team, which I think my team was the best. They were saying I'm basically playing it safe, but you know what? I'll die on that hill. Laura just says the whole Kane debacle probably worked out better for them in the long run. Yeah, probably. As Gav said, probably Haaland. Looks like they'll probably just wait for Haaland now. And let's be honest, what a drama with the Kane situation. I know you might think that people like that controversy, but they probably thought towards the end, like, this is just taking too long and it's just not worth the hassle. Do you agree with that, Finn?
Yeah, I think City's a long gone suggestion now. Like I was saying during the middle of the stream, I think Manchester United would be the best suitors now if he was to leave Tottenham at all. Yeah, I think if anything, they're the only candidate, unless you do get a desperate Barcelona that come into a bit of money, or you do get a bit of a desperate Real Madrid even. It wouldn't surprise me if Harry Kane went abroad to further his career. But it's about a very limited amount of suitors now.
Yeah, let's be honest, mate. It's kind of like boring to talk about Kane now, isn't it? It's actually boring to talk about. He was going to stay there for the next year, whatever. I saw that Facebook post or the Instagram post. All right, swipe to the next one. Don't care. But you know what I mean? Just bored of it. It's like, stop trying to just be honest. If you're honest, the fans would probably be okay with you. But because you're trying to play both sides,
I can't believe we've gone 120 an hour and 25 minutes without saying FSG. I'm pretty happy about that.
Well, this is good. We talk about it. We talk about that in a lot of other channels, mate. So we're good here. Folks, we're just finishing up. Thanks for everyone in the chat. I've just answered Jamie's question before we go. With no fans allowed in the stadiums in winter, do you think that will ruin our next transfer window?
Probably only Liverpool FC. Everyone else will spend money.
Yeah, possible. We can touch on that closer to the time, though, Jamie. We'll touch on that closer because I think he's saying in the winter the fans won't be allowed in.
By the way, Jamie, I absolutely love that profile pic, mate. That's class.
Harry Kane, yeah. I know. My old mate Trigger is back. Right, I get that, Jamie, but we've not got enough time. You won't get that. Do you get that, Finn? It's a coppish story. Basically, his old mate Trigger, his mate's got a gun, like a water gun that he used to just take about with him.
Was it the old ear? Because I was on for when he was talking about
that's the ear one. It's a Trigger, but they used to call him Trigger because he used to have a water gun.
Yeah.
It's a mental story.
I heard that one. That's an exceptional story.
Yeah, so no, it is a belter. So if you've not heard, go to Coppish and check it out. Jamie's pulling a guy's ear off story. Absolutely mental. But Jamie, love it as always, mate. Harry Kane wants and Laura Duffy finally says Harry Kane wants that PL goal record bad. Don't see him leaving Premier League.
Very good.
Very good point, Laura. I've got to be honest, I don't even know what Kane's going to do. He's going to stay there, probably get that, and then maybe a bit later, maybe next year, look to try and get a move for some trophies. I mean, he's a striker, so he's played to a late age. It's not a case of
34, 35, I think would be all right.
Game's changing a little bit in that sense. You can
he
have
needs
a lot
to protect himself, though. That's what he ought to do. It wouldn't surprise me if he actually retired from international duty in a couple seasons' time, maybe at 30, 31, and then we'll see him really focus on the Premier League.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And just a shout out before we finish, folks, to two things. Apologies again, I'll keep sneezing, mate. Sienna Steps on the Daytrippers channel.
Yes.
We got to 60. So we got to target 64,000 yesterday. I was on the Daytrippers show yesterday, and amazing. Great. Thanks to everyone who've got that. But that's one target now. They're hoping to still keep the on the Daytrippers channels the link, and they're hoping to progress now because that's for the medical treatment. But there's still more money for the trip itself and to stay actually in America for that time. So if you go over to Daytrippers, the link will be under the videos there for Sienna Steps. So if you can retweet it, share it, donate, everything's much appreciated. And I just want to say, if you haven't already, that's amazing. If you can't donate, that's fine. Just retweet it as much as you can, and just just get it out there. So much appreciated. And also a shout out to my mate, my boy Rams, LRB Rams. He messaged me before. I'll get him on soon. Just tonight, mate. I was trying it, but the way the show went, couldn't get him on. I'll get him on our next show pretty soon. I'll get him to join me and Finns and possibly Gav as well. So shout out to yourselves, Ram, if you're listening, mate. Great insight as always. He's our German correspondent. So I'll get him in for a bit of a breakdown of Sabitzer and his move to Bayern Munich. So I'll get him on soon about that. But to everyone who's listened in, thanks again. And you all take care and we'll see you again soon. So anything you want to add, Finn? You good to go, mate?
No, all good. I've just recently kickstarted Twitter. So my Twitter bio is just here. Please do feel free to drop me a follow. I do follow back all Liverpool Reds, and also go over and follow Mr. Conroy Talks.
Yeah, if you can. To be honest, if you just come and got a community and chat, I'm pretty happy with that.
Yeah.
Chat to a guy who can't even talk properly tonight. I'm pretty happy with that. He's actually stayed along. Jamie's got his YouTube channels next month. Jamie, send us that in the link, buddy, and we'll get that out there, get that promoted. But to everybody, you can get me. You're on the channel. Follow me on Twitter as well. If you don't, you probably already do. But to everybody, take care. Thanks again for the comments as always. It means so much and for being part of the community. So everybody, take care, and I'll get a show next week. And maybe later on in the week, I'll see. But to everyone, take care. Good night. And